And Spectra Carell, thank you for the $10. I think it's wrong to judge a population on what they eat while experiencing food instability. How privileged. Some populations need to eat alternative meats. Well, no, you have to take the Chad approach, was that it's wrong to eat meat in general. Sometimes that's the only thing that you can do. If you're going to starve unless you eat meat, like, okay, then you're doing a thing that's bad, but you're doing it to serve a larger good, so the math works out. I mean, I do think that humans have a right to kill to survive. I guess every animal does. Um, but yeah, the stupidest thing that meat eaters, or I guess anti-vegans, because I eat meat, bring up, whenever. Oh, hello. Oh my goodness! Did you just walk perfectly into hand grab range? What's the dumbest thing anti-vegans do? Oh, okay, this is a really dumb argument. Please, guys, never ever do this argument, okay? When if somebody is like, "Hey, veganism is good, we should all be vegan," and your response is, "Huh. Well, in the Uwatu tribe in the far north, they have nothing to eat but whale blubber and bear fat. How dare you suggest their culture, their like, or when woke ass lefties will be like, you're destroying the cult. How dare you say the native culture? Fuck you. It's just don't make those arguments. Why can't I just can't the Chad meat eaters be like, yeah, it is bad to kill animals to eat them for personal pleasure, but I do it anyway. Like just live it up, you know? At least then we can address like the what about that argument where they assign literally zero moral worth to animals at all? It's a hell of a bullet to bite. Well, a lot of them will say that, but honestly, they're all lying. They all 100% lie about that. The people who say like I assign zero moral worth to animals would not have any problem with animal abuse, but they do. They clearly do. Only sociopaths don't, because we clearly see emotions and pain in animals, and they reflect in the same parts of our mind that we feel when we see human suffering. Maybe not to the same extent, but we absolutely do. That's a thing that we do. Um, if a person really believed that animals had zero intrinsic moral worth, then to them a video of a cat being butchered and a like old piece of furniture being destroyed with a hammer would be identical. It would just be two like pieces of property to them being torn apart. Pigeon. So, Pow Pow Giraffe, that projection of our humanity that you're referring to is the moral worth that I'm talking about. Pigeon, she just wants attention. Just because you can have empathy for creatures doesn't mean that they inherently have um, moral worth. There's no such thing as inherent moral worth. It's a product of axiomatic values that we hold. What we design, like deign to have moral worth is arbitrary. The point that I'm trying to make is that the arbitrary process that we use to assign moral worth is heavily encoded in things that we find like intrinsically worthwhile or sympathizable. Sympathy is tied to our belief that humans have intrinsic moral worth. There's no extricating these. The belief that moral worth exists in some sort of extraneous objective sense and it's totally detached from our biases and our perceptions, I don't think that's true at all. The fact that we empathize with animals means that we see in them a reflection of the axiomatic values, biases, and suppositions that we assign to humans. We may feel them stronger with people, we may not, but they're definitely existent. And if you don't want to go that route and you want to take like a no, my supposition of moral worth is derived exclusively from humans being humans and nothing else. I've never seen a person justify that. You can justify the idea that humans have the greatest moral worth because of our intelligence and emotional depth, and I can understand that. And you can also justify the idea that an in-species bias is a legitimate thing for us to justify, especially since we're capable of developing civilizational like values that other animals simply are not. But the idea that animals have no moral worth whatsoever has always seemed to me like giga coke coming from people who don't want to like deal with the fact that they're like eating animals. Do you understand what I'm saying? So a person isn't wrong if they say that animals have no intrinsic moral worth, because I don't know if there's a right statement on that. I will say, though, that the things that we heavily associate with moral worth are biologically applicable to animals, and that it's really, really, really hard to justify any like androcentric moral perspective in a way that completely discludes all other animals. Very, very strange why a person would even care to do something like that.